Happy New Year again. Yeah. So I really enjoy temple practice. So I love having kids here and babies and families, and um, it's the real thing, don't you think? Yeah. So, I'd also like to you know, extend, like, hope that people's year goes smoothly. Um, I'd also like to, extend a prayer of loving kindness for the administration that will be coming in Washington. I know some people have political ideas. I try to insult both sides, by the way. So, but like to do the real Bodhisattva Mahayana way, we don't cut anybody out of our prayers or wishes for them. Uh, it's difficult practice, right? Because we really want to say, may the people that agree with us prosper, and may the people that don't agree with us fail, you know? So that's just being an ordinary worldly person, which we are most of the time. But here we're surrounded by many people who are doing the path. We're in sacred space that's been blessed by, incredible beings. So we're going on our 10th year being in this Gompa. So we do have the spiritual power to say, we may people we disagree with, or even my dharmas, we wish them to be happy and free, right? Otherwise, it's difficult to really understand why we do the practice. So we're talking as Mahayanist Bodhisattvas who's saying, yes, we we not only like to have people working with us that are annoying or we disagree with, but we absolutely must have them like that. So if we just hang out and talk to ourselves, then it's just a cult, basically, right? Nice cult. It's fun, but nifty little ceremonies. But we're a Bodhisattva Sangha. I like to say we're a chaplaincy Sangha. We go out into the world and be of help. So, and maybe the people that we come in contact that we help don't identify as Buddhist or maybe even interested in it. So, and they might not agree with us about whether the earth is flat or not, or who's should be coming over the border, but we're helping them anyway, right? Like that. So, visualization that I do a lot in my morning prayers is a little bit maybe taken from the parable of the Good Samaritan, right? So I did go to church, was a religion major, so uh, uh, what would it be like to be helped by someone we radically disagree with? We're stuck doing something, and our the people we agree with pass us by. Of course, with the Good Samaritan, that's somebody that the Samaritan, I don't want to be helped by a Samaritan. But let's say we were helped even by somebody that we thought we just couldn't stand that. So we have to flip the Bodhisattva practice. So not just benefiting others that we think are making the world a worse place, but also be willing to be helped, right? To say, oh, I would accept, go out to have a meal with you. I would accept, your friendship like that. It completely goes against our normal division, doesn't it? So we have to say that the work we're doing here is not ordinary work. It's not just being better at doing our ordinary consciousness. All of it is proceeding with a consciousness that is in the middle and not on either side. It's very difficult, don't you think? So that's why we need a lot of support and teaching. I constantly have to do prayers to my teachers, like take the middle way, just stay with the middle, da da da, like that. Work with people you don't like to work with, da 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 da. So after about 10 years more, I just got one compliment. Got two compliments for maybe three. Three compliments. Like after about 10 years, my teacher said, I'm happy you like to work with people you don't like that much. And then I didn't hear anything for a couple of years. And then a couple of years after that, I heard, oh, I'm glad you stuck with it. And then a couple of years after that, after about 15 years, then okay, maybe you can start teaching like that. That's it. So today I'm going to start introducing a core bodhisattva a path from the Nalanda tradition that comes out from the masters in India. And it's just said this way, it's like the 5 paths and the 10 bhumis, or the 5 margas and the 10 bhumis. The first path is called the path of accumulation, Sambhara Marga. Then secondly, the path of joining or engagement, Prayoga Marga. The third is the path of seeing, Darshana Marga. Those people that come to interview darshan, that's darshana, path of seeing. The path of meditation or cultivation, bhavana marga. And fifth, the path of no more learning, ashaiska marga. This was these, and then the 10 levels called bhumis correspond to the 10 paramitas. So this is kind of scholastic and listy, right? So why do we have these? And that's what I'm going to try to explain over the next year. I'm not going to explain it all today. You'll just go home confused. And why is he bringing this up? Well, there's a purpose behind this, and one purpose that's important to me and should be to us is that when I'm talking to our classically trained teachers, mostly Tibetan, not all. One we should know is Mongolian, right? Geshe Losang, of course. They understand this typology. They understand, like, oh, you're working on this path, and you're doing this bodhisattva ground or level. You're doing it this way, because that's the structure. Just like we think, well, I went to kindergarten, then I went to elementary school, and in second grade I learned how to read, and or first grade, we did phonics, and then seventh grade is when we conjugated verbs, and and we kind of understand that because in America the educational system is pretty much the same, right? So if we know, okay, we graduated from high school, or you got some degree in this or that, we have a general idea of what someone's competence is a little bit, right? So when we become more familiar here with how the bodhisattva path, how the big path is talked about and structured, then there'll be better communication with the teachers that come here, because then I can tell them, oh, we're doing not just these classes, but we're also there. It's in this function, like, so I can say, well, they're about in second grade. So, no. We're actually we're doing quite well. All the teachers that come and go, oh, everyone asks good questions, which they do. Like, this morning, but they're going to ask me, and they do. They say, "Well, what should I teach on?" And there are standard texts that we think, and teachings and techniques that we think is good for everybody, but it makes a difference to say the group as a whole, the Sangha as a whole, is going along, and most people are acquainted, with at least the path of accumulation and the path of joining, like that. They've been educated to that. They go, "Oh, okay, good. Well, then we'll teach on this level." Or I can say, "Well, there are a few more people that are really, have glimpses of the path of seeing." Path of seeing, by the way, is like directly seeing emptiness. No big deal. That should be easy. All got a lot of teachings. The path of meditation actually comes after the path of seeing, because the idea is, as bodhisattvas, we're meditating on emptiness, otherwise known as interdependence. So the way the program, the traditional program coming out of the large monastic universities and the yoga universities too, the tantric universities, follows this kind of structure, which helps teachers know, like, because they're substitute teachers in a way that come here, right? In a sense, they're our family, but they're coming in and okay, they're asking me, "Well, what have you guys been working on?" "Oh, we've been working on the quadratic and doing a little calculus," or "Yeah, we're still working on basic fractions." So they go, "Okay, we'll teach them that level." So from that point of view, it's important. But the five paths is also as a way for us to look at have a mirror for our own training. The Lamrim, the stages of the path that, like Geshe was talking, started with Atisha's Bodhisattva Badipa, lamp on the path to enlightenment. He's teaching Thursdays. That's going over the topics and a bit of the meditations, but that doesn't give. That's not exactly. It doesn't tell you exactly how to progress along. So the five paths and the 10 bhumis thing is like, this is a kind of a typology to know what the next steps to learn these basic truths and to do these basic meditations. Like, this is how you get along, like when I moved from, sixth grade was elementary school, then they're always telling you, when you go to seventh grade, you're not going to be able to, pull this bullshit anymore. They're going to be, it's serious. It's say that, it's like, even in like third grade ago, like school I was like, boys and girls, be aware this will go on your permanent record. Have you ever seen your permanent record? It's like, yeah, you seniors. Yeah. 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 My mother saved one of my reports from kindergarten. I still have it. Stevie interrupts in school a lot, and he tends to run away, which I did. We were in walking distance of the school, and a couple times I just took off. Yeah. I was annoying. He's bright, but So it also allows us to get very detailed about the sequence of knowings. So one of the famous texts about the Mahayana Paths is from a teacher around contemporary of Gampopa and Atisha, Sakya Pandita. So incredible scholar, practitioner, and this Shakya school is still alive and growing. In the past there, the Sakyamati is talking about how many moments is it necessary to move to the next level. Now that sounds kind of weird, to say, well, there's 7 moments of insight for this and 3 for that. But this has always been a big thing in Dharma, like when and how do realizations come and how can you kind of track them? In our tradition, we say reality is momentary, which is very tricky. And in the American Vipassana movement, they say moment-to-moment awareness. But what is the moment anyway? There's a lot that goes into like a moment. But what's interesting is we don't gloss over, we don't say that it just mysteriously happened. Like you went from like not knowing something to knowing something. You can say that in other religious traditions. Well, it's a mystery of, how, the wine becomes blood and the wafer, we can't do that. We want to know, like, actually, how does an idiot mind go away or be transformed into a wisdom mind? And how does that happen? Well, in this tradition, particularly the 5 paths, and then Abhidharma tradition too, we're going to say, well, you need these 3 moments of insight. Just like that. Makes sense. Is anybody like a computer programmer or does code or something like that? I mean, you want to know if you don't press, I don't do code, but I know it's hard, right? Obviously no one does code here because you're all kind of touchy-feely folks, but it is important, like the sequence of things, right? So in the 5 paths, Sakyamudita goes into detail what particular realizations you must have in order to get to the next step. So it isn't just, like, well, in the next step, you'll be compassionate where now you're kind of self-centered. How many moments of insight do you have to do? It gets detailed. And it sounds overwhelming, but when you're really trying to work your path, you want it really, and you're walking through the minefield of your life, you want to know, like, well, actually, literally, what's the next step? It's that literal. Like, do this tomorrow. Do this in the next moment. Not, it will happen. It will not happen off stage. So we usually think like, I'll just kind of go along being nice and doing some kind of meditation, and then some kind of realization will happen off stage, and I'll just wake up and the miracle will have happened like that. Many people practice that way, hoping that I'll try to be nice, and then hopefully I'll be able to work with difficult people. And the 5 paths presentation, this is actually what you need to know. It's like listening to diversity trainings. If you work for the county or the state or a big business, they make you listen to, like, here's actually what you have to do or not do. It's like that. But overall, I'm going to be talking about the path and how we talk to ourselves about our practice, because that's different than how we get through, for example, using the educational metaphor, how we get through schooling is different than the subjects we learn. Because there's a whole bunch you need to learn about learning that is not discussed in school, right? I mean, on top of like who to sit next to in the cafeteria or not get beat up in the playground and how to be the cool person or something like that. Those are, they don't tell you. We're going to try to tell you how to do it. For the groups we have here, it's going to mean, looking through that lens of bodhisattva levels and paramitas so that we can help others take the next step. For the fun of it, I've rewritten the 5 paths for kind of the population of folks that come here. So the path of accumulation usually is talked about. We're developing the thought of bodhicitta, and we're really developing the thought of not only do we want to be free, and we want others to be free too. So I call that like the path of spiritual emergency or crisis. So that's generally like, folks that show up at our classes and they just want to be happy and free, and they're really disturbed that the people they love are suffering. Isn't that it? They're not sure they want to be Buddhist or anything. They don't want to, they're just showing up. Then the second piece, the path of joining, our yoga marga, I call the spiritual explorers. And then the path of seeing, darshana marga, as people entering the path. People that take in the entering the path ceremony. Who has here? Yeah, right. Good. You've seen something, right? So in a sense, you've had a glimpse of interdependence or emptiness, right? You've seen like, I'm not doing this alone. I'm connected and free at the same time. There's some insight there, or you wouldn't be doing it. Then the path of meditation, is refuge. We become refugees. So we really are meditating on the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path and taking refuge. We're meditating on the truths like that. And then the fifth path, the path of no more learning, is the Bodhisattva path, right? So when we say no more learning, what do we mean by that? Do we literally mean like you don't learn anything more? No. So we're no longer at that point collecting information from as an outsider. We're totally on the mountain. We're in. We're not. We don't have one foot in and one foot out. We're totally in. It's like we're in the mandala totally. You don't have to be thinking of this way, like, well, when I learn a little bit more, then I'll really give myself 100% to this. You've checked it out, like you're in. So you're not bouncing on the diving board anymore. Going on, I really, just dang it, I gotta be a bodhisattva. There should be that kind of I'm all in something. I don't know. Because I want to make the 5 paths realistic for us. How do we do it? Because interestingly, in the way the bhumis are set up, the levels, the first one is called joyous. That's when you kind of go, you discover, there's an insight, we say insight to emptiness, but it's really, you just get this vision of, this something here that you're you've been wandering around in the forest and you find, maybe the trail. You're not quite on the trail yet. You're just started on the trail, but there's that overjoyed thing of, maybe like you've been on the life raft with Tom Hanks or something, and then finally, you see they're coming. They're not, sailing by. They're coming to get me, or whatever happened in that movie. Like you can see it. That feeling when like this is going to happen. I had that feeling when when we're finally had enough money to buy the temple here. See Ellen smiling like this is happening. We're getting it. It's like, wait a minute, it's really, we're going to the title company and they're going to give us the deed. It's just like that. That's first boomy, like joyous. We haven't inhabited it quite yet. So the next 6 boomies we're refining it. It's interesting. It's not until the 8th boomy, the 8th ground, that were called irreversible. Maybe 10 years ago, I don't know, was it 11 years ago? I asked Jada Rinpoche to give an empowerment on Achala. Achala is it means immovable bodhisattva. So in the protector room, I found a very rare statue of Achala. And we also have the Japanese Achala Fudomyo in the dojo, immovable. So you're not really, it's funny, from the path aspect, you're then in a super mundane view because you're bodhisattva, you're irreversible. So some of us have had that experience, like I call them lifers. Like no matter what happens, there's no condition, it's like we're just doing the Dharma practice. We're just doing Bodhisattva practice. I mean, people can disappoint us or teachers disappoint us, or, even if like we thought the Buddha was a fake, there was no Buddha. We're going to just be Bodhisattvas anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not, people are goofballs and, but we're just doing it anyway. We're irreversible. So everything could just fall apart. It's like, Dalai Lama's got, a condo in Switzerland, but it doesn't matter. We're just gonna, I don't care. We're just doing the Bodhisattva practice, right? We're doing it because it just totally makes sense. Yeah, so irreversible like that. The boomies are a little bit, to talk psych here, a little bit like Eric Erickson's developmental steps, like famous psychiatrist, I think Swiss American, so when the child's like very young, just born between maybe up to 1, like the developmental step is talked about in a dialectical way, like trust versus mistrust. Like you have to, the parental environment, the home environment has to provide just the right amount of challenge and support for the child to basically have an overall trust presentation to the world. And if those particular challenges, because challenge can be a good thing if there's support behind it, if that's not resolved, then that developmental step is sometimes skipped, or there's kind of a, didn't download that program. So I used to teach developmental psych at Sac State, so got to use it somewhere. I'm not teaching. I won't go all through them, but that's like this. The second one would be important: autonomy versus shame and doubt. So we're working with the child to let it reach out and do some things on its own without constantly saying, you're doing it wrong. That's a big one. So the bhumis and the steps are a little bit like that. There's a dynamic that has to be resolved. It isn't just like there's a stairway and you just step up to the next step. There's an issue to be resolved. So that's why we have like the balance of challenge and support, which is mostly exemplified with Sangha members and Darshan with me, because I'm going to try to be overall supportive, at least 51%. But I'm also going to be challenging, or you won't resolve, you won't click into the middle way. Your practice will be kind of flat. It's like the stairway's already there, and then you think, well, I'll just kind of schlag it up. No, each time there's this fork in the road. Generally, with beginners, we need to give like 95% support and 5% challenge. The more we progress on the path as bodhisattvas, we can handle more challenge. Why do we need to handle more challenge? Because the planet's challenging, and if we want to be at all helpful and not a nuisance, then we have to be able and want to handle a lot of challenge. But please don't give more than 49%. Okay, I'm going to stop here and hopefully I've confused you at the right amount of challenge, that you feel supported at the same time so you won't run away. Yes.
So I've got a question. You started pretty early about talking in between the difference between sort of educating or being educated or having knowledge of these paths and bhumis versus realizing them. Could you give me a little bit more differentiation between, I could have book knowledge or something and realization, and why that differentiation matters in this aspect?
We have to know their, in a way, their developmental steps or developmental learnings. So it does help to have a map, because that we can plan, and then we're less likely to get discouraged. But it's only through the interpersonal, generally the interpersonal dynamic, that we're going to be having to balance the challenge and support piece. You see, otherwise we're just doing one-sided. Like, it'll just look like, gosh, it was really easy, So, like, when people, after they've been meditating a year, how's it going? They say, well, it's been really easy. They're not doing it right. So, yeah, it's a climb until you reach the summit, like that. So, but you still have to know what are the correct paths, because we don't really want you falling in a ravine. But we do want you to be able to say, okay, there's the summit, we're in the lodge, we're looking through the telescope and all that. But it's different than actually being on the trail.
Thank you.
To start.
Other
It's a good question.
Thanks, Lama. So is there a correlation, or I guess some sort of connection between the 5 stages in the Lam Rim? The basic stages in the Lam Rim, do they correlate in any way?
There is a correlation. Um, the important thing to know about Buddhism is that it evolved over time with people. So we have the all the teachings from the Maitreya Buddha that came through a Sangha that basically wrote about 5 paths, like Mahayana Sutra Lankara and the Abhisamaya Lankara. And those aren't the Lamrims that we know in Tibet. So these were written down pre-Lamrim. So the Lamrims that we know start with Atisha and then Gampopa and people like that, and then like Lama Tsongkhapa. So they're building actually on the 5 paths. So in the 10 bhumis, so that this typology came first. The problem with the Lamrim, if I could say, a Tibetan teacher would never say the problem with the Lamrim, so just so you know. But the problem, I have to bracket that, just in case it's being recorded, which it is. The Lamrim tells you what you kind of have to learn in sequence, kind of like in grade school or something like that. But it doesn't tell you actually how you learn it. So when I talk to elementary school teachers, I always ask them, well, are they teaching phonics or are they teaching, what's the other thing, how to read? Pardon me? Whole language or something, so it's one thing to say, yeah, in the first 3 years, you got to learn how to read, but it's another thing to actually, how do you learn how to read? So the hard part is that, and lots of times the Lamrim does tell you the basics of how to be motivated to want to learn how to read. And then you need to learn how to read. And you can do all these wonderful things when you learn how to read, which is what our teachers, which I wasn't paying attention to particularly, told us in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, maybe. But let's say you had a learning disability, and because I'm really a bright person, but I'm dyslexic. So what happens if you're kind of dyslexic? Then you have to do something special, right? So they found out I was like dyslexic, and then I had to learn how to read in a little different way or pay attention to things. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what like the Sangha and Vasubandhu and brothers, we're trying to do. Like something's not working, and we're sending you to kind of special ed. We don't call it that anymore, right? Where the Lamrim is a little bit more, general. Like here's normal target pop, right? You all guys need to know this, but it doesn't necessarily go into like, if you're struggling with math, this is what you do. It just Lama Tsongkhapa is just, well, huh? Yeah, the path things have to be very individual, where the Lamrim is more like, yeah, we want you to at least get you through high school, and here's what you need to know, but it may not, you probably need to know more how to do it, like that, something. And that's the role of the teacher too, otherwise we would need a teacher. But like everything Buddhist, it doesn't always completely match up. That's really important. So, but the teachers will always say, which I believe is true, is the different teachings in essence are not contradictory. They're just given for a particular person, a particular time, and a particular place. So, we have to look at it that way. Hi.
Lama, thank you. You said at one point on the path that one becomes immovable or no more returning.
Yes.
So prior to that, there must be movement. It's not just a linear. Is that true? And if it is, could you explain that?
Well,
process?
prior to the eighth Bhumi, actually, we have some doubts. Or one of the reasons for the 5 paths, 10 bhumis, and this kind of path literature is for the benefit of teachers. So, it's like, how do you know if someone's, ready to do something or not, ready for the next step? So, there's these kind of a little bit, these templates too. So it has a little bit of a template feel to it, like, okay, this person's, still got a lot of conflict and doubts going on. They're basically really good people, but they're, they're kind of there. So teachers think like that, like, what teaching is this person ready for? And then there's a little bit of that, kind of like standardized testing or something. So the idea is someone in the best of possible worlds, you wouldn't start doing Tantra until you're at 8th level, like that. So, but then there's other teachings that, well, if you sometimes you draw from the higher teachings to complete the lower, right? That can get tricky because then we get sloppy sometimes. But I'm a kind of I'm kind of this style. So I came in contact with Dharma when I was 15, and Trungpa Rinpoche was 17, and it took another like 12 years to meet my root teacher. But by then, like, I knew, see. So there was like 12 years of kind of, like Dante wandering in the forest, even though I was learning a lot. But then there came a point where, okay, no doubt. So that made it a lot easier to relate with a teacher like that. But of course, everybody has lots of doubts, so we have to be honest. You can't just jump into 8, and you have to check it out. Because in Tantra, we'll ask you to do things that seem in contradiction to some other precepts, and this does not make sense. So there has to be, we're going to ask you just let go of the rope there and jump up a little bit and grab that toe hold right there or something. And you go, well, wait a minute, I thought this relates to Patty's son or something. People are going, wait, I thought this was a rope and piton kind of climb here. What you asking me to free climb? No, but if you're at 8th level, then you could say, I'm going to start to free climb now, because you have the confidence and you're not going back, and emptiness doesn't scare you anymore. So you go, oh, okay, great. So there's this feeling like, oh, that's really neat. I'm allowed to free climb now. But if you're thinking, I'm not ready to free climb, then you would, be a little not ready yet. I don't want to push anybody over the, I don't like, if you ask people to free climb and they're not ready yet, then it just is a disaster, right? Yeah. Good question.
Any other questions or online questions?
Or complaints? That hand shot up really fast when I said complaints.
So the thing I want to ask or comment about was, and I'll just say what I heard, but you can correct me, is Like,
As I will.
okay, so we don't have miracles in our tradition and like things that just happen with sort of like a spontaneous divine intervention. And I guess I'm wondering, like, I guess I kind of like that part of other religions, but why would we be opposed to like things just spontaneously or magically transfiguring in a way we can't explain?
Well, we do have miracles. So they're, but we don't quite call it, their teachers are occasionally manifesting what are called like accomplishment cities. So that look miraculous. Yeah, I mean, so what is happening is the miraculous, so-called miraculous appearances are working on a cause and effect chain that is not immediately apparent to a non-Arya. So Aryas means like a noble person. I mean, it's somebody that's seen things. So it's still happening to a certain kind of cause and effect. Even a magician's magical show has a certain cause and effect to it, right? Because we're magicians creating a certain thing, knowing that our mind works a certain way. So we do see the rabbit come out of the hat like that. So there are a lot of miracles, but a lot of the times the miracles are just things that are operating on a different cause and effect chain than what looks like usual cause and effect. So just keep hanging out, Greg. I don't think so. So, but is it, you know, one of the great Teratones, Jigme Ligpa, whose golden tonkas over the IT booth, said the most important miracle is changing one negative thought to a positive thought. Which, if we really think about it, that's really the miracle, you know, not so. Like many miracles happened around my teacher and also Trungpa Rinpoche, you know, so that's which I talk about occasionally. But you know, even with these kind of miracles, then the regular cause and effect chain is still happening, right? So a teacher can some teachers are so incredible, like around them, you know, the flowers will appear in the sky, right? But if I want to, you know, get flowers at Middle Way Health or flowers here, Susan's going to have to bring them, right? So, you know, like, yeah, because you get, you know, you go, like, there were rainbows and yeah, true, yeah, like rainbows and, you know, particularly, you know, sometimes over when teachers are teaching or sometimes over their, you know, cremation or something like that. But, you know, if you want to like, you know, like a rainbow for your party, you're still going to have to like create some rain and something. So the cause and effect chains will work kind of independently almost. Good question. Are you hoping for a miracle in general? I am totally, yes. Okay, just so you know, like I'm a magical thinker, totally open to that, right? Yeah. One more question before we break? No? Yes? Comment? Do people want to hear like more about the paths in general? The path is how, not just what we must do or can do, but actually how we do it. So I usually think how I learn about paths is just on different levels is when I've worked with people with a lot of disabilities, right? Because we just assume like it's real easy just to do this, and until you work with someone who's had a stroke or work with people with learning disabilities, and we just say, well, all you gotta do is do this, and they can't do it. So the nice thing about Dharma things is we try not to blame anybody, but in general, we have to reflect on ourselves. Like, if I'm being a teacher, how can I do it better so they get it? Not like they're idiots, so they're not getting it. That's mental health. Mental health, unfortunately, is like when the patient doesn't do well, you always blame the patient. We shouldn't do that, but I guarantee it. That's like they were resistant, or they were blah blah. Yeah. So what are we doing? So if we think of it that way, that we're working with each other, and we have some kind of learning disability or some major diagnosis, then it makes sense. Then we can say, gosh, it's really like how the meds aren't working quite. They work a little bit. Socialization works a little bit, but that person still is being attacked by command voices. So what do you do? It's not like the end where you say, the healthy person won't be attacked by command voices that tell him to kill himself. That's easy, or the goal is just feel like you don't want to kill yourself. But what do you do with someone who you've tried everything, medications and socialization and talking, and they're still having command voices? So that's what we're really going toward. The easy stuff is easy. If someone's really very smart and they have kind of nice socialized egos, then of course it feels like it's easy to do Dharma, but we're doing Tantra because Tantra is for the folks or for the population where it just doesn't seem to work. In other words, it's for us. It's like, like other things don't seem to work. So there is something magical about Tantra. Yeah, like that. So like famous doctor who's became really known for his hypnotherapy went to visit somebody in locked psych facility, and the person wouldn't come out because they said there were like fissures or this is Ericksonian hypnotherapy. There were like crevasses, right? Or there were little gaps, and if he stepped on them or crossed them, they would open and would fall in. And the rest of the staff, which I totally get, they were going, look, you have to come out for your doctor visit or this visit. There are no cracks. So just come out, okay? Wouldn't come out. So Erickson went in there and he asked the staff, do you have some masking tape? You know the story. Yeah, already. So he goes in, okay, and puts the masking tape down where the guy tells him to put the masking tape, and he comes out. Now that's not a solution, okay, but it's a path aspect. See, it helped that person take the next step. Interesting, right? So sometimes the path means sometimes we're going along with a certain kind of, we're welcoming in the delusional state, knowing that if we don't join it with the enlightened mind, it won't go away. So so much of the work is, Okay, tell me where they are and I'll put the tape down. So are we ready to close maybe? Do dedication.
Due to the merits of these
Various
virtuous
actions,
actions, may I quickly attain a
and
state of a Guru Buddha and lead every living beings without exception
into
into
that
that enlightened state.
state.
May the supreme jewel
Full
bodhicitta
gratitude
that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. May the teachings of the Buddha flourish. May the upholders of the teachings remain forever. May all migrators achieve happiness, and may they fulfill all their temporary and ultimate goals. Losang, magical display of the deep awareness of all the victorious ones, merciful giver, a stream of profound and vast instructions to the fortunate migrators, please remain always unperishing, unchanging, unfading. Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of objectless compassion, Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, Vajrapani, destroyer of the entire host of Mars, Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the snowy around sages, Losandrapa, I make request at your holy feet.
Thank you. Now for what we've been waiting for, the announcements.
Well, we're trying to take turns with these announcements, and I think we're doing pretty good, but I'll start them, and then if anyone has something to add, please raise your hand. So on March 1st, we're going to have a half-day meditation with Lama Jinpa from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. I think the title is The Union of Vipassana and Shamatha, but I check with Rinpoche about that. Is that correct, Rinpoche, the title?
It's usually said the union of shamatha and vipassana that way, but
Right, thank you. And then the other thing is that on the 2nd, March 2nd, I should talk to all of you. On March 2nd, we're going to have a second entering the path ceremony, and it's very special. And if you'd like to know more about it, you can find myself or Jen or Susan, and we'll be happy, or Connor. A number of us are aware of this program. And then I'm going to give the microphone to somebody who's involved with membership. There's a little group of them to talk about it.
Thank you. One, if you're on the membership committee, we are meeting this afternoon, so stick around or I'll find you. Just a word about membership. So just this, for many of us, this Dharma Center just feels like home, and it's a very loving and welcoming place. And we are so grateful to have great teachings, programs, meditations, all kinds of things that we can partake in. And we rely on each and every person to show up. It is part of, it's a great service. You know, when we meet in recovery and everybody's there, we're just doing merit, you know, I mean, it's just great service and earning spiritual merit. And it would be wonderful if you feel like this is a home and a place you belong and you want to participate at any level. It would be wonderful to help sustain. Also, it's a way to earn merit, you know, it's spiritual merit. Right? I think it's punya, if I'm using the term right.
correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so thank you for considering becoming a member, and you'll be hearing from the membership committee soon. And that's all I've got. Yeah. On Mondays, there's the entering the path is, yeah. So Monday meditation, entering the path. And then after Rinpoche joins that group and also leads a discussion. Yeah, Linda and Bill and Rinpoche together. I probably wasn't the right person for that announcement, but but I'm cobbling it together.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, he's ready. He wants to talk to Sabine. I'll mute him.
Dirk, your microphone's on mute.
Oh, okay. Well, I couldn't hear what was going on. Sorry. I just wanted to let people know that the lunar practice is starting up again. And the first time will be on Saturday, this coming Saturday, a week from yesterday. But what we're doing this time is a little different. We're going to be chanting the Nama Samgiti, the chanting the names of Manjushri, according to sadhana set up by Chensei Wangpo, called Wisdom's Bestowal. And if everyone who's attending has had a Manjushri empowerment, we'll do one way. And if anybody who's not attending, who's attending has not had a Manjushri empowerment, we'll do it in a different way. So that's 6 o'clock, the first time Saturday, and then from then on, every lunar phase.
Thanks, Dirk.
Thank you.
Just a couple other real quick things about programming. Starting February, it's the first Thursday in February. Geshe Damsho is going to start teaching with Lama about Tantra. Geshe Damsho does have at least one more teaching on a teacher's lab for the path of enlightenment, probably end of January. He's currently in retreat, so when that's finished, that'll start again. So those are really great and precious teachings. So I hope you guys can all come Thursdays at 6 p.m. There's something else. I can't remember what it was. Not that important. Thanks for the teaching, Lily.
Thank you. Yeah. So yes, I probably will be here. I'm here Monday night starting at 7 to 7:30 after the sitting, and then I'll be showing up with Geshe. So Thursday night's going to be big meditation, and Patty and Jen leading meditations, and Geshe and I going over some Tantra aspects and some sadhana, actually doing it. So that's going to be a big night. I'm going to be around for lunch and afterwards. So even if people don't have a scheduled darshan, I'd like to see people over lunch. And then we're also doing Kala Chakra at 2:30, right? Well, I'm hoping we have changed it. I've been assured we have changed it to 2:30, so a little bit more time to like have lunch or stretch or something. Sang, yeah. So what time is the membership meeting? So okay. Oh, there is? Okay. Okay, then I'll be here. My handlers are slipping, like. I do need supervision. Where? All right, thank you, everybody. Could we have exit music, please?
Omo araya patayana indi Om araya patana